Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and it's another Regulatory Tuesday. And I wanted to talk to you today about a Fraser Institute report that came out just recently here in the month of December. It was on December 14th when they published it on their website. And it's the International Economic Freedom Report, which also includes a breakdown analysis of the United States, of Canada, of Europe, of Africa, of South America, and of the world in general. This report set specifically analyzes things such as regulation, taxation, government subsidy programs, mandatory spending, things of that nature, and analyzes them on a level of individual economic freedom. Now, the United States has once again rated in the top quotient number set for economic freedom. But that's not for a lack of trying on some states. So I'm going to cut to desktop view and kind of go over the dispersion of economic freedom in the United States with you. So as you can see here, this is the display of the economic freedom of the United States. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of these states in pink. Many of these are Democrat strongholds. And you can see even Hawaii and Alaska fall into it. All of these states also happen to use an excessive amount of welfare or public subsidies from the federal government. Now, you can also see that these orange states, some of them are a little more or a little less publicly subsidized. Then as you get into the green, you've got a lot less public subsidies. Not always completely, but for the most part. And then into the blue, you've got a lot of what's considered economic freedom. Now, many of these states that are in blue have unrestricted labor markets. They have very low taxation. And realistically, even though they don't usually, in some cases, have state minimum wages, they don't have a lot of people working on minimum wage. It's usually very low-end service labor type jobs, and then everything else above that has different pay grades. Now, as you can see, New Hampshire is still in the economic freedom states, and they have been for quite some time. The live free and die state definitely keeps their freedom hard won and hard kept. As you can see, though, also the volunteer state, the Lone Star state, and the rebellious state of Virginia all are in the top most free states in America. Now, one that is rather surprising is Montana. And I am not sure why Montana got such a low score, but it probably has to do with their labor market and labor restriction laws. As you can see, the top 5 states are New Hampshire, Florida, Texas, South Dakota, and Tennessee. And as you can see, the bottom 2 states are New York and California. I still do not understand why everybody's in a rush to be like California. Now, here is the report for the Arab world. You can see here there's almost no economic freedom in the Arab world. For some reason, Israel is exempted from the Arab world in the Arab World Report. Here's the economic freedom of the world, which, as you notice, Israel is one of the blue states in the Middle East, along with certain European countries, the United States, Australia, and Japan. Also Indonesia over here, and certain areas of Western Europe. It's not surprising that many of the Lockean nations, or the nations that have Locke-style debates in their government, how free you should be, are some of the countries in the world with economic freedom under this report. As you can see, many of the countries where you cannot argue how free you should be don't even come close. And some of them show more economic freedom than others, but none of them are blue. None of them. The only ones that are blue are places where you can actually argue that. And that's a rather sad state of affairs. Now, here is the North America listing, and as you can see, Canada is in a world of hurt here in that some of their most populated areas are avidly anti-economic freedom, and some of their least populated areas are very pro-economic freedom. And that's part of what's caused a change and a shift in their governmental systems. And it's time that a lot of these Canadians woke up and started talking to their own government and pushing for more economic freedom throughout their nation. Now here is, another report of the Arab world. As you can see, Israel is very free, Lebanon is very free, Jordan, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait is not as much, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, not as much, Iraq and Iran definitely are not. So there are many, many nations around the world that are very much not economically free. And we need to start pushing a much more open economic freedom concept. Now, this is the Human Freedom Index. It shows just how free certain areas are. A lot of this has to do with not just their scoring, but neighboring cities, neighboring areas, and things of that nature. Now, all of these reports are available for you to read directly on the site, and I'm going to leave a link to this entire report. They keep it up throughout the year, so you can go and read every single bit of what they did. Well, I hope seeing these graphical representations, as well as whatever you decide to read from their reports, opens your eyes into the economic activity and freedom of your area and of the rest of the world. I know I'm going to go through the report about Oregon with a fine-tooth comb because I personally have been feeling the burden of the government in Oregon for quite some time. And coming from a state that's considered free and has been high in the economic freedom rankings for a long time, the state of Tennessee, it's really hard for me to live under such excessive regulation in my mind, because every time I turn around, there's a new regulation, policy, or procedure that stops me from being able to do something in my life or pursue some sort of goal for my own personal happiness, well-being, or monetary reimbursement. And so I continue to look for ways to help reduce that regulatory burden on all of us. Well, thank you all again for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe or comment down below. Also, don't forget you can catch me at my other social media sites. They're all listed down below. Don't be afraid to come contribute to me on Patreon. I am also looking at opening up a PayPal and Maker support just so that those who don't want to use Patreon don't have to. Also, don't forget you can contribute to me at minds.com. And don't forget you can get me on Gab as well as Twitter. Don't forget to come and subscribe or follow me there. Thank you all and have a great day.